another night of racing here on Race Stars TV. Tonight, round 9 of the Racecraft Motorsport Australia official eSports series for the S5000s. My name's Chris Mitchell as we head to Interlagos for round 9 alongside Dave Roberts once again in the commentary box.
Evening, Chris. How you doing?
Brilliant, mate. Getting ready for a good night. Hopefully the weather in this one's a little bit better than it was at parts during the weekend. We saw with the F1, the wind's so bad that it blew parts of the main grandstand apart.
And Piastri straight off the track.
Look,
apparently that was a massive gust of wind that apparently McLaren recorded, and it actually physically, just blew the car off the track. And I know what. I saw some of the footage from the grandstands and people were having trouble standing up. So for once I agreed with their being affected by wind. Most of the time I reckon it's just crap.
Yeah, for once you agreed with the excuse.
Yes. Except for when George Russell came up with it. Then I thought it was just rubbish.
I don't think we'll have as much of an issue tonight. If you get a look at the weather there, 32 degrees on track, 25 degrees ambient, partly cloudy, and running through just after 4 p.m. in the afternoon as Anthony Marzocco going for a spin there.
Mowing the lawns.
Yeah, just scratching them up a little bit.
Yep.
As we run through the final minute of the qualifying session here, this will set the grid for the sprint race coming up. 15 minutes in duration, a quick sprint that allocates a few points towards the championship, but also, importantly, helps set the starting grid for the long, 50 minutes? The feature race coming up here tonight from Interlagos. Round 9 of this championship, the penultimate night of racing for the S5000 series, brought to you by Racecraft Simulations and powered by FRG E-SPORTS.
Yeah, so here and then it's back into Australia for Phillip Island for the last round, but I won't be there with you, Chris. You'll be on your own. I'm overseas at the time.
Oh, well, I mean, you'll be enjoying yourself, I'm sure. And we'll just have to make do without you as we get a great shot. Look at that, down through turns 1 and 2 there from Interlagos. Here's your starting grid, how they finish up through qualifying. Damon Woods in the Deur Esports entry with a 120.1 to start on pole for the sprint. Tim Delisle in second on the front row of the grid from Josh Stewart and Andre Youssef. Good to see Andre back in the car. Shane Russell in P5 with Drew Collins in 6. Bailey Evans in 7 from Steve Jansen on the 4th row of the grid. Beckett Mayberry and Will Ryan rounding out your first 5 rows, ahead of Anthony Marzocco and Robbie Griffiths in the Fishy Motorsports entry on the 6th row of the grid. Then just behind them, Marcus Konitska, Caleb Balak, and Luke Hayden makes a field of just 15 tonight.
Yep. Small field tonight, but probably not a bad thing around here.
Yeah, I expect some of the racing to be pretty red hot, and some of the speeds that these cars can reach. Probably a smaller field. Probably isn't
like a hole on the grid there. Somebody's missing.
Yeah, well, it seemed to be missing outside front row there. Tim Delisle, inside front row actually. Who's due to be starting out of position number 2. Now, it does have a...
Oh, he's there.
There he is.
Here he is.
Bumps in. He just got away with it, bumping into the grid here as we get set to go.
I reckon you should have to do the lap round of the grid.
Yeah, I've always wanted to. Like they make you do in GT3, where they make you form up before the rolling start. You should have to do the full formation out of pit lane, warm it up, and then drive it to the starting grid and park it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep. I mean, they do that in the F1 game. Maybe the iRacing will get there one day. They're working on the weather still, so we'll give them time.
But the weather's only going to arrive for Formula Ford 1600 to start with, so that'll be cool.
That's going to be a lot of fun, actually. Formula Ford's a great fun to race in the wet. As the revs come up for round 9, the sprint race here from Interlagos. Oh, no start there from Damon Woods.
He's left himself a challenge.
Yeah, and he's going to make life hard for himself because he's almost going to get swallowed up by the entire field.
Come on, Sergio.
Oh, and he had to hold the outside line.
No, he's running in a circle. And nice. Very nice. Oh, and a little bang. He's had a very entertaining first center S's.
Yeah, that's going to make life
hard. That makes him absolutely last at the moment because he's just dropped to the very last place. He's got back in front of Marzocco, but he was last there for a second. So that'll be good fun.
Yeah, now he's got the challenge of trying to charge his way back through the field as we see the replay of him going 3 wide, trying to get back into position. Gassed it up across the apex.
Yeah, I don't think he got a touch or anything. I think he's just gassed it on that inside curb, and the cars, these things are very, very touchy on cold tyres. So I think that's what he's just done. Little mistake, a rare mistake, but now we've got an interesting race to see if we can get back through.
It'll be interesting to see what he can do there as Tim Delisle sees his opportunity to try and break away here in the sprint race. Josh Stewart and Andre Youssef second and third as we come out of that back corner at turn 12. This is where they start to really wind the cars up and let them scream out through the rev range as they charge all the way up through 13, 14 and effectively turn 15 before that actually rather short front straight, and they dive onto the anchors again to pull them up for the centre S's down at turns 1 and 2. On board with Drew Collins, the 75 Sim Sports entry, trying to maximise the exit there of turn 1 and 2 and back up through the gears. How quickly these cars can actually get through the gears is pretty astounding when you first drive them inside the iRacing server. How quickly you can max them out in top gear.
Have you had a punt at the new Japanese Super Formula yet, Chris?
Yeah, was facing the wrong direction very quickly.
Yeah, it's a nice bit of gear. It's actually sort of superseded this car now.
Yeah, to an extent, I felt pretty similar with that. But it's actually a lot harder to drive than this car, I felt. The laps I was doing around Fuji, but I was in a sim that was a bit different.
I thought it had a bit more feeling than this. Although it's hard to drive and it's quick, it's got a bit more feeling.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with this car, whether they supersede one of the championships, etc. But this has been a fantastic car to serve as our S5000 in this championship. Damon Woods on board now. We're back to P11 here with Damon as he's staring down the rear end of Steve Jansen, who'll be feeling like he wants to roll the dice and maybe get lucky again tonight, because he had a wild night a couple of weeks ago from Circuit Mandicours for the French Grand Prix week round at round 8 as they're going 3 wide down the main straight. Woods is going to pick up 1 for the good measure. There's Griffiths losing a spot.
The trouble here is while they're 2 abreast, there's nowhere he can get through because the track's just not that wide.
Yeah, these cars are quite girthy, especially.
Now try and slip down the inside here. I think he's probably going to sit there and try and run it down the inside. That's close stuff. Well, hello.
Touch and go there with Caleb Balak trying to make it. Caleb no slouch either. He's a very stout driver in anything he steps into.
Oh, that's a new helmet.
With the Australian Formula 4 Championship too, so...
That helmet straight off the shelf there. That's Steve Jensen's helmet.
Yeah, back from the dealer.
Yeah.
I love the shots that Luke's bringing us here from Race Stars TV in the background, doing all the production work as we look back from Jansen onto Damon Woods.
Love the heat haze out of the exhaust there. It'd be a bit noisy sitting here, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. You wouldn't want to put an open mic near that as they come out of turn 12 and 13. Start to climb through the gears once again here.
So now he's got a clear run. What I'm thinking is Damon's going to use a lot of his push to pass on the way to get through this pack, I expect.
But he doesn't need to get to the front to try and win the race, it must be said. He holds a healthy lead in the championship coming into tonight and probably just needs to get as far up the grid as he realistically can to secure a decent starting position before the feature race.
It's such a fat lead, I'd actually call it unhealthy, Chris.
Well, it is 105 points coming into tonight's round for the 9th one of the season. Tim Delisle, meanwhile, out front, ahead of Josh Stewart, who's just set the fastest lap of the race, has Josh. 121.265 there for Stewart. As we pick up on them, they're going through the very, very long, sweeping left and right section through the middle of the circuit before they make their run up towards turn 10. A rather tight hairpin before they start to run back down the hill through turn 11. And they set up that braking zone. There's the replay of the start there and how bad it was for Damon Woods.
I wonder what he did. It looks like he forgot to put it in gear, possibly.
It almost did look like that. I didn't want to say it just for the fear of being incorrect, but it did look like he dropped the clutch and it wasn't connected to the transmission yet. So it just went.
I've done that.
What, in real life?
No, I've done that in the sim. Sat there and go, whoom, and everyone goes past you, and you go, idiot.
Doing that in real life would be just as terrifying. Actually, I could not imagine. As Andre Youssef pursued sim racing, holding on to third at the moment, ahead of Drew Collins. They're having their own little battle for the remaining placings in the sprint here, with 9 minutes left to go, almost getting close to that halfway point. And Damon Woods is he's taking his time. Actually, he's being quite patient on the back of Steve Jansen here. Oh, issues for Marzoka, who was off the track at the exit of turn 2, or through turn 3 actually, Curve de Sol. See what happens.
These cars are very touchy under throttle. They just lose the back end so easily.
How quick it was for the avoidance.
Yep,
those guys
very nice
as well. I think that was Robbie Griffiths just darting to the outside and using some of the runoff to get past the Fishy Motorsports entry, just running up on the back of Anthony Marzoka now. There it was. Yeah,
that was very nice. Very, very nice avoidance.
Good pirouette there from Anthony as well. Did the old swing it around, get the lock stops going, and flick it around. I remember I did that in front of a Silver Split F3A race at Sonoma while leading on the opening lap of the race, and managed to get it going.
I did it in the Drive to Europe round. Leading at Oran Park in the kink, 125 mile an hour, looped around, selected second gear and stayed in second place.
You just banged it through and off you go.
Yep.
Here we go. Damon Woods trying to set up and move. It's got to be careful. Was that a touch or was that Jansen?
No, I think it was just getting loose a bit. See, I think Damon's trying not to use his push to pass. That's what's holding him up. If he uses push to pass, he should be able to rip past them. But he's trying to conserve that because he might need it as he gets further up the field to the faster guys.
Yeah, it's an interesting equation.
Ninth now.
He's made his way back through, but certainly not as quickly as I thought he might have. But keeping in mind, we do have the long feature race to come up tonight. If you're watching live online, say good day, check in the comments. I know the YouTube section loves to fire up and say good day for the evening, so tell us who you're here watching for, and then tell us whether you think Damon Woods can get to the front in the feature race if he finishes where he is right now in P9, as Tim Delisle leads the way, coming down the main straight with 7 minutes to go.
I'm just looking at the live chat there, and I think it's Greg Olson on there, and he said he couldn't make it tonight because he's in Japan. But when we were talking about Super Formula, he said he went and saw it at Suzuka, and he highly recommends it. So that's pretty cool.
That is really cool to be able to see those things live as well. They would sound incredible. There's Phil Vella tuning in. G'day, Phil.
I did watch
DFR Racing, Downforce Racing.
Yeah, I did watch the live broadcast of the Super Formula. It was pretty cool.
Oh, was it decent?
Yeah, it's good.
With the sound, I don't know, because they would sound pretty good, but I'm too used to 410 sprint cars now, and they just sound the best.
I can't believe they get so much grunt out of a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo car. Yeah. And they've got very little. It seems they have very little.
Whoop! Round we go.
Very little turbo lag, which is phenomenal considering they're pulling so much horsepower out of a 4-cylinder 2-litre engine.
Well, it could be one of those twin scroll turbos. I actually have to look into that because the twin scroll turbocharger technology has really come into its own in the last 5 years. The likes of what you can see, even road-going 2-litre combinations pushing upwards of 300 horsepower on pump fuel.
Yeah, a lot of, like all the Mercedes cars actually use the electric charge to fill in the whole of the turbo lag. So they use the electric because they're slightly hybrid on these new AMGs. And they use the electric power to fill the turbo lag hole, which is very clever.
That is very clever, and that's a great way to utilise the hybrid systems.
The way it should be used.
The way that they should be used, yeah. Not to actually drive the car, just to spool the turbo to make more power. But,
well, I've always thought myself that hybrid was really the way to go because you're never going to be caught out. You've got a combustion engine as well. And you make them work together, and together they can help each other out. You're never going to be stuck. If I was stuck in a snowstorm in America, I'm sure I wouldn't want to be in a Tesla. But if you had some engine power, combustion engine, you're never going to be stuck. And I think that really is the future. Is that hybrid? I think this running down the total electric thing is I just can't see it. I do not see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited to see that more racing series are starting to find ways of building these hybrid systems to make them more usable in the real world of racing. But it'll be interesting to see.
I love the new WEC cars are just superb.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
And the racing's superb as well.
And the response from the public has been really well.
They're not too bad to drive in iRacing either.
No, they're plenty of fun. As we go on board with Tim Delisle for a lap of the Interlagos circuit here, you can see how late he is on the brakes down into Senna S's.
I'm getting a request on live chat for a onboard lap with Tim Delisle, so it looks like that's what we've got.
Yep, bang on.
Looks very good.
Luke's already on it. Directly.
Looks very good.
Down. 260 Ks down into turn 4 before stabbing the brakes and banging it down a couple of gears. Listen to the sound of that thing. Fantastic.
This is very, very quick through here. This sweeping right up to this hairpin, and you can get wide there. You lose it so easily, and you're trying to brake around the corner. These two, it's all about rhythm, and just keep it sweet. Don't lose traction out of here. Keep the thing driving, and here's about mid-corner speed. Don't brake too hard, just let it roll through, keep the car running, and then get on the power. This is flat through here, I think. I haven't driven around here in one of these for a while. And then here, it's all about exit speed. Get that power on early, and keep the drive, keep the car square, drive it up this hill as fast as you can, and then hold it tight over the top, because if you go wide, you lose time, and Tim's going wide. So, but anyway, cut down through the entrance of the pits and then back over the start finish, over the little rise, and then we go back down into that centre S.
A great onboard lap with Tim Delisle there as he continues to be your leader. Meanwhile, Woods has moved himself up into P6 as a result there.
Like I said, no rush.
No, don't need to be in a massive rush there. As he's found himself in P6 is a pretty decent spot to be working from as we look from the back of Andre Youssef, who's been in a bit of this battle with Drew Collins all race long here in the sprint, just holding on to third as Collins trying to find a way past. They go through the turn 4-5 complex at Largo and then charge up towards the very challenging turn 6 and 7. Very fast at the top of the hill as well.
They were calling that something on the weekend, and I can't remember what it was called, Chris.
No, I missed it as well.
That sweeping right-hander.
It's a very challenging part of the track. Lots of the parts on this track here at Interlagos are more or less a compromise between braking performance and trying to not overload the tyre. Because so often you can push yourself to brake later on a perfect lap, but due to the undulation, you end up overheating the tyre, and then you just end up cooking the car way too quickly.
What have we got? We've got minute 25 to go, so we've probably got... Will we get the white flag this time around, you think, Chris?
Oh, I think we'd be a little bit close there. I'm sure Luke's going to give us a shot of Barney. They're lapping in the 1 minute 20s, so I don't think we would have seen... Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, there he goes.
There's Barney, flipping around with the white flag.
Swatting flies.
Enjoying his time there. On top of the starters gantry as well, out there at Interlagos, as Tim Delisle makes his way through turns 4 and 5 for the final time in this sprint race. Luke chiming in our chat. Ferradura, turn 6.
Ah, there we go. That was it, Ferradura. Thanks, Luke.
Ferradura and Curva de Larangina for turns 6 and 7.
Curva de Laryngitis, did you say?
Yeah, there's days where I feel like that too. How's this for a little bit of a scrap towards the end there? Will Ryan getting it on with Shane Russell and Griffiths trying to get up the inside as well as they head up into Ferradura and then out of Larangina. And they charge down towards turn 8. Oh, no!
There we go. It's all over.
Oh, and race over there as Will Ryan's just going to shortcut through the grass. We'll jump back on to your leader, Tim Delisle, down the main straight to run it towards the checkered flag in front of a packed crowd here at Interlagos. And he will take the sprint race for round 9 of the Racecraft S5000 series.
Pretty much unchallenged.
Yeah, well and truly. Josh Stewart just sitting back there in second, picking up the pieces. As Delisle dropped in a hot lap on his final tour of the track as well. A 1:20.803 for Tim Delisle. Andre Youssef is going to come across the line in third. Drew Collins fourth. Damon Woods P5. Good recovery from Damon.
No.
And then, oh no, there's still more. There's still more action going on
Now, how
towards
did
the
that, can we get a replay of that one? I want to know what happened there. That's the middle of the main straight.
Yeah, I have a
Here
feeling.
we go. I knew there was someone else in. Oh, there you go.
Bailey Evans, everybody. Yep, Bailey Evans, I think, caught up in that one. Just getting maybe a little bit too close to try and make that kind of flick the wheel move and turned
Very
Will
nice
Ryan.
save by Will Ryan.
Yeah, he did well and still got to the line ahead of Robbie Griffiths, who was the offending driver earlier in the lap on that final tour.
Just to change the shorts, he'll be fine for the main.
Well, he does have a couple of minutes to sort that out. You can take advantage of the downtime between races during the warm-up. Here's your results from the sprint. Tim Delisle taking the win over Josh Stewart, home in second. Andre Youssef, third from Drew Collins, and Damon Woods, a great recovery after almost failing to get the car started and get it rolling off the grid there. Steve Jansen home in P6 from Shane Russell. Bailey Evans across the line in P8. And what happened with Will Ryan there? It showed that he's down in 15. Did he might have received a time penalty enforced for incident points, because he definitely crossed the line ahead of Robbie Griffiths.
Was he a lap down? I don't know.
Well, I know he did cut the track after getting caught up on that last lap in the incident with Robbie Griffiths into turn 8. So that's going to be an interesting one to look at there. As further down, Robbie Griffiths, Luke Hyden rounding out your 10. From Caleb Black, Jacob Mayberry, Anthony Mazoka, Marcus Kiska, and Will Ryan showing a minute 4 off the lead. And Lockie Capel showing up there as our safety car driver in the beautiful looking FRG Aston Martin safety car, as we get the drivers into a bit of a warm-up session now, and they get an opportunity to try the car with a bit of a heavier fuel load if they so wish. And then they'll be back very soon to take on the feature race. We'll be back in just a minute here for the Racekraft 5000 series for round 9 here at Interlagos. And just like that, we're back. Quick little sting for Racecraft Simulations. Spent last Tuesday out at Racecraft, actually, doing a bit of wheel time, having some fun, and checking out some of the different pedal options and a couple of the new goodies from Sim Magic that I'll be speccing on my new rig build, which is getting closer because we're moving in the next 10 days, moving house. And I'm getting closer and closer here. Luke's just going for a bit of a swing through the Racecraft website at the moment there. John actually just recently published a video on their Facebook page with a new update and a tour through their sim center. And it's great to see that the rigs continue to evolve and grow, and it's like it's like Johnny can't help but keep spending money on the simulators.
Yeah, it's his little love child, isn't it? All the rigs. Yeah,
it is, and it's like he has the same disease as us. He keeps spending money on it. There's a little bit of a walkthrough tour.
Yep.
From Racecraft. There's that RKS 2.5 Stage 6 being built. I have had some time on that rig, rocking the InSource wheel and the V&M Simulation RK Edition pedals. I haven't tried it since he put it on the motion system, though. That would be a bit of fun. And then some of the innovative stuff that he's doing. He's building another PT1, which is really exciting as well. The full cage simulator. There's no photos of that, but that's going to come out of the works pretty soon there from Racecraft Simulations.
Nope.
He even does on-site deliveries and does event activations with the traveling rigs, which is what he uses that big old trailer for, to show you all of it. And that's his beloved dog Stitch.
He looks happy.
Yeah, Stitch the shop dog. He's actually a beautiful boy, a great dog that will happily sit down next to you while you're on the rig doing some racing or drifting and have a sleep.
Fork out that money. So, you know, we've got alternate pedals on there. We've got Simpor, DS5 dash.
Johnny loves to talk about all the options of this rig. It was trained by a pretty decent guy as well, who got him off the ground to actually get him excited about doing some of his own on-camera work. And Johnny, the man behind the scenes at Racecraft Simulations, out there right next to Perth International Airport, actually, as we check out your starting grid for the feature race here. 50 minutes the journey. Tim Delisle on the pole, Josh Stewart joining him on the front row of the grid here, with Andre Youssef and Drew Collins from row 2, Damon Woods and Steve Jansen starting out of row 3, Shane Russell and Bailey Evans on row 4, with Robbie Griffiths and Luke Hayden on the 5th row of the grid, Caleb Balak and Jacob Mayberry on row 6. And then we're going to go back through the field and see that Will Ryan will be starting way down in position 15 after that race. Did you get any insight there, Dave, about what happened?
I didn't, but I do believe that I think Bailey Evans, if it was Bailey Evans, got a little penalty for that. Okay. And I'm just going to send Damon a text message as they put it in gear.
Just give him the reminder that he might need as the revs rise once again here for the feature race for round 9 of the Racecraft S5000 E-Series. Powered by
he's remembered to put it in gear this time.
Yes, he even pulled to the side just in case. Just trying
got a good start.
Be the wiser, but it's going to be Tim Delisle who cuts it down from the outside of the racetrack to lead down through turns 1 and 2 at centre S. From Youssef Collins and Woods. Already looking for room there, Dave.
Yeah, I think he'll be into 3rd by the end of this little straight because he got a good run off that first S's. Oh, he's looking to go down the inside of Collins. Can he do it? No, he's not made it. Oh, he's got a bit of a run again. He's got him through the next part, so he got off that turn 4 a lot better. So here he goes, round the outside, sweeping into 3rd place. That's very impressive little start. Much better this time than last time. But he's got a bit of a challenge there with Stewart and Delisle because they're both going very, very quickly tonight.
Yeah, he's going to have a bit of work to do here. Maybe not as quite as easy as he had it at the last round at Circuit Manicours, which ended up being a bit of a torrid affair towards the end there in the feature race after that safety car restart. But it is going to be Delisle, Stewart, Youssef, and then back to Woods there you see exiting turn 12. Oh, Collins has had a big swap on.
Yeah, big tank slapper. They let go at the rear and then bit and through the front, across the road, and that's scary when you get that where the rear end just lets go and then bites suddenly and then the front goes. And we saw it was very much like the accident that happened at, mind you, for broken suspension, but the one that happened at Mexico for Magnussen, wasn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Just kind of bit the car and sent it.
Oh, there we go. One's round again.
And that's another one. That's Marcus Konitska this time going around.
Yep, he and his...
The undulation on the racetrack, the crowning on the road and how quickly it drops off on the edge there down at turn 12. You almost need the special feature that we saw if you've been following SEMA with the FJ Cruiser build that has the ski tracks underneath the belly of the car to help it if it gets hung up on a rock.
Sorry, I'm getting... Somebody tried to ring me right then. Would you believe it? I forgot to put the phone on silent. Had to go find it and turn it off.
Picking up Bailey Evans here as he charges his way through. He's up to P5 here and trying to see if he can chase down Damon Woods in front, but it doesn't look like he quite has what he needs right now. He's ahead of Steve Jansen and Caleb Balak, who've gone to 6 and 7 on the racetrack in this opening phase. Remember, this is a very long feature race, Dave. They got lots of time to do this in the seat, and then they need to navigate the pit stop, which arguably has been where Damon Woods has been so effective in this class.
Or has. He is in every class. He seems to be, he's just got that whole knack of the iRacing pit stop pretty wide. Mind you, I thought he had the starts pretty wide, but he proved me wrong tonight.
He sure did.
What that just says is that no matter who you are, you can still make a mistake.
That's right. Nobody is immune.
So now he's working on the back of Andre Yusuf here, and he's in the toe, but he's not really, making a move. He's just sort of stuck there in that dirty air. So these cars are affected by the turbulence that comes out the back, and it does make it a little hard. So be worth watching this for a little bit, see how he can maybe manufacture an overtake for himself here.
Andre Yusuf now coming under a bit of pressure from Damon Woods, who's looking a bit menacing in his mirrors. It is very difficult. There's the track system that I was talking about. Thank you, Luke, for finding that. That just debuted in a build at SEMA with a 700 horsepower V8 powered FJ Cruiser rock crawler that has a track system to help it get off any rocks that it gets bellied on. Just absolutely insane. We kind of need that sometimes when you get these cars hung up on the crown, even at places.
There he goes. Down the inside into turn one. Yes, neat move. And Yusuf, I think he was dazzled by Damon coming down the inside and forgot to turn in.
Yeah, just gave him maybe a little bit too much room down at turn one, and Yusuf running himself off the road. He's lucky to recover to hold on to P4, but pretty much hands it directly to Damon and doesn't have any challenge for him. Now Damon has to make up 1.8 seconds to close that gap, as now Caleb under pressure here from Shane Russell, the rock star, up the inside down at turn 4. And Caleb off the road and he spins. Oh, and they just dodged him further back on the racetrack as well. Now that's a very awkward part of the racetrack to be stopped.
That looked awkward with the trying to get it back around too.
We cut away from it at the worst possible time. Here's the spin and to stay with it. Stay with it, Luke.
Stay there, and there's a nasty bit of moving here. What around the nose, and then one comes from the clouds, one down the.
Oh, jeez! Oh my goodness! Caleb Black providing some entertainment down the turn.
There's nothing you can do because you're sitting there. You know you're sitting in the middle of the road sideways. You just want to get out of there, and you don't know which way they're going, front, back. People are coming. You watch your relative, but you're sitting there knowing you're going to get hit.
Yeah, you're just a sitting duck, waiting for that crucial moment that comes in the race where you hear the whack and you go, "Oh, I'm done." As we see a drive-through penalty from Collins, causing an incident on lap 3. So I wonder if Luke can find us that to review. And
I'm just going to watch this gap now because Woods is 2.3 seconds off the lead. So here we go. Here's the causing an incident. Oh, he's running the back.
Yep, right into the back of the JTIT Race on Oz entry. That turned him around down to turn 1, and that was good night moon. Here it is again, hard on the brakes, and
not much you can do. He committed to going down the inside on a late braking manoeuvre, and the guy in front's had a bit of a moment and got very slow on the apex. So unfortunate, but at the end of the day, you've run in the back of someone.
That's right, and now it's always the onus on the passing driver to get through cleanly.
Now looking at this, Woods is not hauling them in because it's now 2.5, so he's lost 0.2 of a second.
And Stewart dropping in a hot lap at 21.6 just recently as well. So Joshua Stewart making some good time out here, sitting in the wheel tracks of Tim Delisle out front. In fact, Stewart's almost closing up now and putting the pressure on. You can see that. Woods sitting back there, not really able to do anything with it, but we
Woods at 21.8, so he's a couple of tenths off the pace at the moment.
Yeah, these two are starting to have a bit of a discussion of it further up the road in the race lead. Come out of that turn 4-5 complex and charge up towards Ferradura and Larangina through turn 6 and 7. Easy to get the car unsettled here on the brakes, trying to pull it up for turn 8. And then you're just waiting for an eternity to get back into the fall out of turn 9. Another easy spot to lock up and force the car off the road up at turn 10. And then you set yourself up for the quick run down the hill, hugging the inside curb, down through turn 11 and into Junkow at turn 12 on the brakes, set it up for the corner, get on the throttle, touch the exit curbing, and then hope you got on the throttle early enough to build the momentum on the long run through effectively the flat turns 13, 14 and 15 onto the main straight. And where the Formula One usually picks up the speed trap just towards the end of the straight here before they get on the brakes. And you've got all that road up against the fence, so you can really maximize the entry room if you can into the center S's at turns 1 and 2.
Do you remember what the F1s were doing here on Sunday? I think they were doing like 320k at the end. I'm looking at these guys, they're doing about 250, so that's a hell of a lot quicker than these.
Yeah, massive difference. I mean, keeping in mind, these are one of the feeder categories.
Yeah,
but designed to be like that back in the day.
Just interesting. It gives you an idea just how quick those F1 cars really are.
Yeah, they are just next level, and it's easy to forget that when watching the broadcast, because TV cameras always make the cars look slower.
Yep.
Have you ever watched NASCAR and then been trackside and you go, oh my goodness, that is insane. Even watching dirt oval racing and sprint cars, and when you realise that they're carrying an average lap speed of 180 kilometres an hour.
There we go, speed trap on the weekend. Gasly 330, Norris 333, Gasly 337. And these guys, I'm looking at Damon Woods' onboard speed now, which we've got. There's Tim Delisle's up there now, and you watch this. So 240, 250, 260 maybe, 255, 256, 57, 257. So that's it's 70 kilometres an hour down on an F1 car, and these are quick. Yeah.
That's right. I mean, consider these cars are probably running a fairly decent downforce package for this circuit as well, because you need a bit to get around here. Not a high downforce, but...
I know in F1 they run the high downforce, or pretty much the high downforce.
Well, it might be close to a high downforce package on these cars too. So with the horsepower available to them, that's about all they can achieve around a circuit like this. As we've got the first 10 minutes of the race, 40 minutes left to go here for the feature race. Tim Delisle over Joshua Stewart, and they're trying to maintain that margin over Damon Woods back there in third. 2.5 seconds adrift right now.
Yeah, he's just sitting at 2.5 seconds back. Yeah, it's interesting. These cars have proven to be a very difficult car for the guys to drive. Some guys have got a hold of them. These top three guys have sort of got a hold of the car and drive it really well. And they're still prone to making mistakes because the car is a very difficult car to drive. And I think that's why we're seeing such a big spread in the field. I noticed there we had like over a second covered the top 10, whereas normally, like in a Formula Ford race, a second covers the top 40. So certainly there's a bit of gap and a bit of... they're hard things to drive, and I think some people have got a little bit frustrated with trying to get a hold of it. So that's how we see only 15 people out on the grid now. So unfortunate, but yeah, that's the challenge of this FR 3.5 car.
And that's part of the challenge that's built into iRacing as a whole. Is it's nothing quite like picking up a game, and I hate to upset people using the term, but it's not like that. If you want to be quick and if you want to do well in this platform on iRacing, even if it's racing in leagues or racing in official races, you need to do the work. You need to put in the effort to build your skills. And you could be one of the most talented drivers on the planet, but you still got to put in the work, especially to adapt to the way the cars behave and adapt to the modelling. And then you might still be beaten by someone who works twice as hard and who has the time available to put in the effort to learn all the nuances and the little things that make these cars quicker.
Yeah, Luke's just made a point there in the notes saying that with a low downforce package, these cars will do about 290 at Spa. We should see that sort of terminal speed at Phillip Island for the final round, because funny enough, Phillip Island is as fast as just about anywhere. It is unbelievably quick. It's nearly as quick as Monza, because and it just seems to have that, you got a very, very fast run onto the straight, plus it's downhill, plus the corner at the end of the straight is really fast. So you see really high terminal speed. So it'll be interesting to see just how quick these guys can go at the end of Phillip Island next time around. I won't be there, but you can tell me about it.
I'll be excited to find out as we see Steve Jansen and Bailey Evans 6th and 5th respectively. Bailey in the simrigs.com DPR entry, just holding on to that one quite nicely at the moment, but losing touch with Andre Youssef further up the road. He really hasn't been able to make inroads on that one in the last couple of laps from Bailey. Even looking at that one, 122.8 from Bailey last time by. His hot lap of a 122.5. Meanwhile, Josh Stewart holding on to second is the fastest on track, a 121.3. Damon Woods putting in his personal best lap of the race in last time by with a 121.498 or 499, depending on which of the timing systems you are looking at. There's a bit of a chat considering Phillip Island as well. Greg chiming in there and saying he would expect a bit of a mix of medium downforce and high downforce and medium downforce kind of conditions out at Phillip Island. And I remember Phillip Island being one of those tracks, especially with the F3 in an open setup championship, you'd have a bit mix here as Marcus Knitsko going around, where sometimes the medium downforce car, while not as good through the corners, can make it easier to race with because you just sail past people on the straights and you don't have to worry about them because they still can't get past you if they can't be close enough to you at the end of the straight.
Yeah, and I believe, and Greg just said the same thing on the chat, that the low downforce package on these cars really isn't viable. And I did try it, and it just wasn't quick. You've got your for one, your push to pass doesn't work because the way they model the push to pass is when you press it, it gives you low downforce. So
yeah, right.
It makes you quick and straight line. But if you've got low downforce to start with, it doesn't go any quicker. You can press a button and nothing happens. So
you wouldn't have to worry about it, would you?
Yeah. So if you want to run the low downforce, just put any downforce setting on it you like, and just press the button for the whole time.
Just sit on it all the time. If you had enough use of it during the race, I'm sure you absolutely would. As we cross over there, 25 minutes into the race.
That might be something you see a difference between qualifying, where they run a super high downforce and push to pass to give them the straight line speed because they can use it as much as they like. But in the race, they only get 8 pushes of it, so they'd probably have to run a little less downforce in the race to make it competitive.
And put in a bit more of the work to try and look after the tyres on a low downforce package because you can very easily start sliding the car. Yep. Killing the tyres. I know whenever we ran MDF,
Mercedes.
Whenever we ran the MDF in the F3 eSeries a couple of seasons ago, I always struggled so hard when we went to those medium downforce tracks because I just could not stay on top of the tyres to save my life, and it was always an interesting experience as Tim has now been putting in the work to open up the gap a little bit further. It's out over 1 second to Josh Stewart, who, despite being one of the fastest on track, is and despite having the fastest lap of the race, actually 121.35, is starting to lose out on this margin.
I think the pit stop's going to be the decider here. Yeah, I'm surprised that Damon hasn't been able to haul them in and he's still sitting that 2.5 seconds back. I really thought he would have moved right up onto the back of these guys from his practice and qualifying pace.
Yeah, you'd be forgiven for thinking that too because of how strong he has been in the previous rounds in this championship, just having ultimate pace to get the job done. But it's not to be at the moment. We are getting closer to that halfway point where I'm sure we'll start to see whether he can make an impact on this race. And that'll really tell the story. But at the moment, it's rather processional, it must be said, Dave.
It is.
Between the top 3.
It is. It's a bit hard. I think they're getting a bit of dirty air if they get too close, and it does make it hard to drive. And these things are pretty hard to drive. You don't need to drive them in the shadow of the car in front, so it just makes it almost impossible. So, especially around a twisty place like this, where you're really struggling to see your braking points, your turn-in points, the apex, when you're tucked up under the wing of the car in front. So, if you can sit back a little bit, it just gives you that little bit extra room to, be able to pick those points of that you use to make your quick lap. So you can sit there a second off the back, you can sit there all day, and do the pit stop, see what the result of the pit stop is, and then come the last few laps, if you really need to have a go and use up all your push to pass. See if you can get yourself back into that lead, or take that lead away, Alonso on the last lap.
That's going to be the name of the game, I'm absolutely sure, as we pick up on Steve Jansen a little bit further back in the field, just having his own run, trying to hang on to the tail of Bailey Evans in position 5. Further back to Shane Russell, who was fighting with those guys a little bit earlier in the race. The Rockstar falling down to position 7. And Anthony Marzoka down in P8, having a bit of a quiet affair. He's not got really anyone to play with at the moment as he makes his way down that second main straight towards turn 4. Then Robbie Griffiths further back, the Fishy Motorsports entry down in P9. Hasn't moved since, or anywhere from where he started on the grid there. Will Ryan back there in P10. Up 5 spots from where he started over Marcus Konecka, the Pace Syndicate entry. And then the third of their team behind them, Jacob Mayberry, tagging in there as well. So the 3 teammates running pretty close together at the moment, chasing each other around ahead of Caleb Balak, who's stepped up. He's running a Racecraft livery on that car over Drew Collins, who did receive that penalty earlier on in the race down in P14.
I'm going to say that any one of these guys that's out there and they're still running around and they're still doing good laps, and Luke Hayden, Drew Collins, they're doing a great job, because these things are not easy to drive, and it's a really good experience to drive these over the course of a proper 50-minute event and keep concentration. So nice job by all the boys out there.
Yeah, well and truly. I always struggled whenever I tested this car, but I've endeavoured to want to maybe put a bit of the work into driving the Super Formula when I get my sim up and running. And I think we get 30 minutes to go.
I think we're just going to jump on board with Josh in P2, I think, on the next lap. There we go. Look at that. I must be a mind reader, mustn't I? So on board here with Josh, just following Tim Delisle, and we'll see where that sort of ebb and flow of the gap you can see there. Now, this is so steep up out of here. iRacing just does not give you any idea of just how steep a climb that really is. So getting a little bit of slipstream here, be getting a bit of a tow out of this and probably saving a little bit of fuel, but at the same time that you get a bit of thermal degradation of the tyres there in that hot air and slide, and when you're losing a little bit of downforce in the dirty air, your car starts to slide a little bit and it chews up the tyres a little bit. So he's got to balance that. He's certainly in position A here, and when they made their pit stop, and if he see how he goes, fresh tyres on it might be worth a real stab. They're coming up on, is that a lap car up in front, I'm thinking? We'll have a look who that is.
There's Drew Collins just going.
Drew Collins pulling out of the way nicely there, letting them through. Damon has really dropped off the back of these two guys a little bit. I'm really surprised about that.
He's not really been managed, although he's stayed in that 2.4 second range, where he's been there for quite some time now.
Yep.
Over the last little while, so it's been interesting to see that hasn't really changed a whole bunch. He might be finding his comfortable spot.
He might be sitting back there, staying out of the temperature, looking after the tyres, going to run this thing as long as he can, which he usually does, and see how he goes on a pit stop. And then from there is attack time, or chainsaw time, we'll call it. It's much better than hammer time.
There he is there, Damon Woods on screen, that time by 1:21.0. So what does that tell you there, Dave?
He's getting a move on. That's very quick.
Really starting to really charge his way through.
That's really quick.
That is mighty fast. That's close to being on par with what they were doing during the sprint race earlier. Luke chiming in our background saying hatchet time from Damon Woods.
Yeah, well,
charge his way through.
Anything's better than hammer time.
Now, there could simply be an explanation for this. The Damon's just been saving fuel, just really trying to roll off the gas, because if he can save fuel while staying in touch and really not make a huge impact on that gap, and he can go that little bit longer on the fuel stop, then now's the time where he can really unleash the true pace. And look at this, he's down inside 2 seconds. A moment ago, he was 2.5 seconds, and now, at the same point, almost a lap later, he's shaved off half a second from these guys. I'm going to be interested to see the lap time this time across there from Damon Woods, because it's a 21.5 for Tim, 21.2 for Tim, 21.0 for Josh.
21.4.
Yeah, Damon Woods actually lost time. He put in a 21.4 that time by, so Josh really got to move on.
Josh Stewart's going around the outside of the leader here. He's having a real dive down the outside. He's got to run. Can he get past? He's really pushing for this lead right now, which is going to slow these two guys up. I promise you it's going to slow them up. And it's soon going to be 3 guys again, Chris.
Yeah, interesting he's chosen at this point in the race to go for it. But Josh,
I don't know whether Tim made a mistake in the centre S's there or what happened, but suddenly and Josh Stewart all over him.
Yeah, very quickly, and I wonder whether that was just a tank slapper coming out of the S's or something like that there for Tim Delisle, because he had about a 7/10 of a second lead, and then suddenly Stewart's going side by side, and that has brought Woods into the fight as well.
But Stewart also did a 21 down, a 21.030, which was 0.2 quicker than Tim Delisle. So, yeah, he's certainly flying.
Yeah, he's really found some pace here. It's going to be interesting to see who flinches first to go for the pit lane then, as well as Delisle drags it onto the main straightaway. And they'll fake it out here because they'll look like they're heading for the pit lane, but then they jump across the divider and they'll stay on track. And Stewart getting a brilliant tow down that main straightaway. Damon Woods is still closing the gap down on these guys. Last time by Delisle and Stewart, 22.2 to a 22.1. Woods to a 21.3. So talking about battling, allowing Damon to close up. He's got them in his sights now. And Caleb Balak has arrived on the scene as well as a lap car.
Is he gonna pull over and let him by? Beautifully done, Card. Now there's a third one, mate. Don't forget him. In fact, Card, it would have been nice if you could have held the 2 leaders up and given us a real good 3-way fight. They pull that way there, nice and through goes Damon Woods to continue his chase. It's interesting that although they're a holding position, it's quite strategic, the ebb and flow of the gaps here at the moment, Chris.
Yeah, it's moving around quite a little bit, and we still haven't seen these guys go diving into the pit lane yet as they come onto the main straightaway one more time.
They've got a bit of time yet.
Yeah, they're still going to go a little bit longer on fuel here.
So Delisle at 21.5 that lap. Josh Stewart at 21.4 and Damon Woods at 21.4. So they're very, very evenly paced.
Yeah, staying right in touch. And Woods is still just that little bit further outside.
Yeah,
there.
I think he's sitting back out of the turbulent air, looking after his tyres, I think. That would be my thought. And we know Damon's a pretty smart cookie behind the wheel. If there's an advantage to be found, he'll find it.
And I'm sure he will have something up his sleeve come time for this pit stop that's starting to get closer and closer here in this race. As they go through that very long turn 9, the little kink in the road before the braking zone comes up on you very quickly for turn 10. And look how close Damon has gotten to the back of Josh Stewart as they make their run down through turn 11, downhill. Kind of use the corner for a bit of banking. There's just a little bit there to utilise as he rocked down the hill. And then
Damon's right up on the back of him. Look at this. He's pulled right up onto the back of Josh Stewart. So we could see a little move down here into turn 1, I've got a feeling.
Yeah, might get the toe on here and try and close this up. You can see he's closing right up onto the back of Josh Stewart. Josh sees him coming and just fakes him out a little bit, heading into the braking zone.
The exit from this one is probably the go. Ooh, bit of a dive under the brakes and pulls right up onto the back of him there. You can see him out under the wing. Damon ran much tighter line through those corners, using a lot less road, which says to me he's got probably a little bit more rubber on board.
He seems to be tightening up those corners very nicely and keeping the corner speed up. Trying to attack here on Josh Stewart.
Again,
he has his nose.
Again, he's just using much better lines. He's tighter on the corners. He's not running wide. He's putting less dynamic through the tyre. So I think, you know, he looks like he's got more rubber on the road. And I do think here too, this is a very low fuel consumption circuit. So, yeah, they could go good fuel saving. You might be able to get this through without a stop.
Now that's a question worth asking, probably in the next 10 minutes or so, because we'll start to really see whether that's really an eventuality.
Is he going to make a dive this time? Look, Josh is covering that inside, and Damon's run it down the outside, and now they're swapped back to the outside. There's just not enough of a toe to be able to make that pass there down into one. So this is very, very cool. And again, Woods right up under Josh Stewart. But what they're doing is this little battle is they're letting Tim Delisle get away a bit. See, there's just that little gap opening up there between P1 and P2. So if that's going to happen, Damon I need to step back a bit, leave Josh Stewart alone and let him go chase Tim Delisle, or make the pass and get on with it.
I think Damon, who would have been saving fuel early in the race, might even be able to go even longer. If we're still talking about going for a fuel stop in this race, then he wouldn't really have to worry about passing these guys right now on track. But he is looking pretty racy right behind Josh Stewart as they come down through turn 11.
Just seems really looking for a mistake from Josh out of what is it called, Kung Pao, whatever the damn thing's called. But he's looking for a little mistake there. If Josh gets a little bit sideways under acceleration or something, that's all he needs, just to get up there underneath him and up beside him. But at the moment, he's sitting in that toe, and he's really, you can see he's not getting any advantage out of it. He's certainly not closing in the slipstream.
Well, so if he was on throttle, I think he would be closing up, but I have a feeling he's probably rolling off of it as he gets closer down these long straights, probably using Josh to help him save even more as he closes right up onto the back of him as they head down towards turn 4. Just buttons on out of it. Gives Josh the clear line down into turn 4, and meanwhile, Delisle has managed to open the gap back up to 0.6 of a second.
So that lap Damon was at 21.5. Josh Stewart was at 21.5, and Tim Delisle was at 21.5. So there's not much in it, Chris.
You can set your clock to these guys at the moment. They're running that close together on outright pace. 19 minutes to go here for round 9 of the Racecraft S5000 E-Series. Powered by FRG. A battle still going on further behind. Bailey Evans and Steve Jansen still fighting it out for 4th and 5th on the racetrack in their own little group, heading down through turn 9 as your leaders making their way round onto the main straight.
It's very cool when you look in a battle and you look up and see the leaders running across the top. Now,
oh my goodness!
Woods right into the end he's run into the end of the pit lane. Wow, that's a big one.
What on earth just unfolded there for Damon Woods? It looked like he pulled out too early to try and pass.
He pulled out, but there wasn't room.
Oh my goodness, Damon Woods.
That was huge.
That was a very rookie mistake.
Now look here, he's got down the inside. He's gone down the inside. See, he was looking for room, and Josh just pulled across. They've had a little touch and into the end of the pit. No, he's lucky this is Irish because he'd be dead as a doornail.
Yeah, well and truly in an incident like that. I've always wondered what would happen. I've seen it happen in GT4 races at this track, but that is a mammoth crash for Damon Woods, pulling out to try and get the move done down the straight, and just slams into the end of the barrier. Then has to do a flick turn to get himself
in the pit lane.
The pit lane to get a repair.
Yeah.
Now he's lucky here. I believe the regulations allow a fast repair.
Fast repair, and he'll take fuel as well. Probably won't take tyres. Oh, no, he won't take tyres. Just be fuel and fast repair.
At least he'll get the repairs that he needs, but that does put him down the order, down in P7 as a result of that, and a huge amount of time lost in having the crash itself. So puts Damon on the back foot here in this 9th round and elevates Bailey Evans up in the 3rd. Here's another look at it from on board with Tim Stewart.
Josh Stewart.
Yeah, Josh Stewart. Now, Damon gets overlap almost with the left rear tyre, but then Josh isn't going to give him the room and realistically doesn't have to give him the room in a place like that.
I'm sure the stewards will be looking at that one intently.
And you see here again, Damon just forcing the entry.
No, he didn't get enough overlap, and there wasn't room.
No, and there's never going to be room in a very rapidly closing window like that part of the racetrack coming on through turn 15 and onto the main straight. So that'll leave Tim Delisle and Josh Stewart by themselves out front with a 25-second gap back to 3rd place in Bailey Evans. And Steve Jansen has actually dropped back to P5 now. Shane Russell stepping up into P4. He was battling moments ago with Bailey Evans for that 4th spot, but now ended up being inherited to P3.
Yeah, mind you, all the rest of these guys, there's still a chance they need to make a pit stop. So if they do, that'll see Damon Woods jump up again. Yusuf has made a stop. Damon's made a stop. But the leading 5 cars have not stopped at all.
As we continue to run the time down, it's almost approaching 15 minutes left in this race. And you did ask the question earlier, Dave, whether it would be possible to save enough fuel to go all the way, or at least just go for a very short splash and get them to the finish here.
Yeah. Ooh, that was a very tight, taking a bit of grass there.
It's going to be Tim Delisle just holding on at the moment, just trying to stay in front of Josh Stewart, who's back within a second to try and have an argument over the race lead.
We've seen a couple of times Josh try and put a move on Tim, but he's been, rock solid in his defence of the lead.
Tim's been very good at just keeping the car where it needs to be and keeping it in the window at the moment to lead this one out by himself. They make their way onto the main straightaway. We pick up with Anthony Marzoka holding on to the 8th position on the racetrack, some 45 seconds away from your race lead as he comes down through turn 10.
I do like a white race car, Chris.
Yeah, they do look nice. We were talking about that, actually. Luke and I were talking about that before the race. I was checking out Jamie Veal's new ride that he unveiled at Warrnambool on the weekend. The SWI 35, all in white, looks fantastic. Of course, Jamie going to spend some time on the West Coast racing with us in the Maddington Toyota Sprint Car Series. The guy's a talent. He started deep in the field on opening night, spun the car, went to the back of the pack, and still drove through to finish 3rd.
Yes, I don't think we're going to see Damon Woods doing that at the moment.
A different form of racing. Is that
very wide there
from Jake? Enough to register an off-track for sure. We grabbed Caleb Black there down in P13, having a bit of an ugly time after his.
Looking at the incidents at the moment, we've got Jacob Mabry on 16. Marcus Konitska's obviously had a stop and go penalty because he's got 18 incidents on board. Caleb Black's on 16, so one more and he's going to get a drive through as well. And then you've got Drew Collins on 13 and Luke Hayden on 11. So everyone else is on single digits. Whoa, round we go. There goes Marcus Konitska.
Yeah.
That may register. So he's on he's at 18. So he's obviously had a stop and go already, or a drive through already.
Or at least had it issued to him and be on his way to serving that at some point during the race here. Here's Shane Russell, who's moved up into P4 here, ahead of Steve Jansen as they make their way onto the main straightaway. 12.5 minutes left.
They've had a great run, these two, tonight. They've been battling all night.
Yeah, Shane's doing a great drive as well to get himself through the field. As we check on the results from the last round, of course, it was Steve Jansen on screen at the moment who made his way to 3rd, capitalising on the frantic restart after the safety car system as, oh, there he goes for it. Just playing peekaboo in Shane's mirrors there down in turn 4. Just seeing where he can maybe find a bit of time and grab a clean bit of air for just a split second.
Well, slow car on the right.
He's not going to find clean air there, is he? As
It's a late afternoon and that sun's starting to set and it's in the driver's eyes in a couple of places around here. It'd probably be pretty bad when they climb up the hill onto the main straight. I would think the sun would be pretty much right in their eyes there.
Yeah, it's going to get pretty nasty as we run down the time later and later here. What are we hitting in the afternoon now? It'd be 5:30 almost in the afternoon, so that sun getting a bit long here from Interlagos. At least the sun's still up. As, we've had races with the FRG where the sun wasn't out.
we won't talk about ruin his body clock, will we?
Setting the weather. Just be a bit of a late start to the race, that one was. It ended up finishing under safety car because they couldn't even...
Jensen's got around Russell there, hasn't he?
Yeah, he found his way through, so they're having a good little battle for these 4th and 5th spots here, which you never know could eventuate. How did he get that done here? He's gotten in the tow and has just dropped the wing and driven around him.
That looks like a bit of push to pass to me.
Yeah, and
I can see the gap in one wing and I can not see it in the other, so it's a sure thing.
And Jansen's done it the smart way as well. He went around the outside of Shane Russell as they went past that pit entry barrier, which is going to prove a sore point there for Damon Woods, who's still down in P7.
I bet it gave Damon a bit of a fright on board too, suddenly come to a dead stop.
Yeah, I'm sure his neighbours heard about it very, very quickly as we hit almost into that final 10 minutes of the race. The shadows start to grow very long here from Interlagos. Josh Stewart on board with him right now. The Downforce Racing 66 entry down out of turn 3 and staying in touch. You can see that gap rapidly closing as Josh gets the tow down into turn 4. And he has been like this all race long.
Well, the sun's gone down. It's gone down behind the grandstand, so it's not in their eyes anymore.
It's just dipped far enough where it's no longer an issue. The lack of light might start to become an issue in the closing laps here, but we've only got 9 minutes 45 left to run in this race. Bailey Evans is doing a great job as well. He's on track to potentially finish on the podium. The simrigs.com DPR entry of Bailey.
It's all about pit stops now, isn't it?
Well, it is, depending on whether they make it or not. Bailey running 9th in the championship so far has picked up a best points haul of 56 points back at round 3. And that saw Bailey finishing 6th in the sprint and 4th in the feature.
Now, there we go. Tim Delisle into the pit lane.
And there we have it. So with 9 minutes to go, your race leader in pit lane. Now, this might fall into the hands of Damon Woods. At least might help him out a little bit, trying to close the gap to these leaders.
And Josh Stewart continued on. He's gone round. Bailey Evans, let's see what he does. He's coming down onto the pit straight now. He's into pit lane as well. So P3's in pit lane. Jansen is into pit lane. Russell continues on. And then, of course, Yusuf and Woods, they're fine because they pitted earlier.
I think Jansen and Russell both continued on there. So it's only Evans who's going to come out of the pit lane and he's going to fall down behind these guys. And Bailey Evans is going to go down to P7 by the time he comes out of pits. And that elevates Damon Woods up into P5 and keeps...
Now, he should probably pass Russell as well, I would have thought.
He might be able to.
Where's Russell? There's Shane Russell. Oh, no, Shane Russell right in front of him there.
Yep,
so,
right
yes, he's right on the back of Shane Russell. And then Steve Jansen's only a second up the road. So, David Woods has a chance here if he can pull. He's got 7 minutes. If he can pull some quick laps, he might get himself back onto the podium.
Into the pit lane as well. So, Josh inherited the race lead momentarily as Tim Delisle pulled it into pit lane. Now Josh has his opportunity to roll it through pit lane. Just gets the old clip through the static car. There goes Tim.
got that one extra lap of fuel out of the car, which means it's one less lap he'll have to put in it. We can see him there on the right-hand side. They're both coming down, and no, Delisle will definitely retake the lead, but Stewart's right where he was, right on his tail.
Yeah,
the only difference is Delisle's tyres are one lap warmer, and he'll have better grip this lap and should be able to pull a little bit of a gap, you would think.
And as a result,
so Woods is up there. He's up into third place.
Yep, he's made his way through there and gotten past Andre Yusuf, who's gone up to P4. Bailey Evans going back to P5 now. Jansen, Russell, and Marzoka falling back into 6, 7, and 8 on the racetrack here as we grab Yusuf for just a second. There's Bailey Evans making his way out of turn 3. And he's got a bit of work to do to try and get back there, but still on for one of his best finishes of the championship so far as we run down the final 6.5 minutes here in the penultimate round of the Racecraft Simulations S5000 E-Series, powered by FRG Formula Racing Group Esports. Tim Delisle and Josh Stewart. Now is it time for Stewart? He was a bit quicker through the pit stop as well, but just lost out, I think, on the entry and the exit. I think if you looked at the actual laps surrounding the pit stop, Stewart didn't really maximize what he had and lost out a little bit. Is it now time for him to really get a move on, as Tim Delisle can see it coming? And Delisle drops in his personal best lap of the race as well, a 1:21.193 for Delisle that time by.
It's interesting on... So I've got the iRacing leaderboard on my screen, and it's saying Damon Woods in third, Andre Yusuf in fourth. Okay, it's just changed, yes. So it was a bit behind Luke. So yes, we've got Woods up in third, Yusuf fourth, Evans, Jansen, Russell, and Marzoka. Ryan and Collins taking out the top 10. So, and just as I say that, Griffith takes over Collins' 10th place.
Yeah, Collins having a bit of an issue there. We'll get the replay on that one. What happened here as they go through turn 11. Drew just trying to do the old switcheroo on some lap traffic and squeeze it down at turn 11.
Cost him a top 10. There it goes. There goes Will Ryan is going past him. So, yeah, I've lost the plot.
Robbie Griffiths who went flying past him.
And then now we've got the blanket toe, so there won't be any safety car from here on in. But that would have been pretty close. If we'd got a safety car, that probably could have made it at the end, Chris.
Yeah, there was a bit of conversation in the YouTube chat as well from our punters watching live online right now, as they were saying if they had received a safety car, it might be able to allow them to stretch it out to the finish. But going with no safety car, we had to take the stop, and now we are race on to the end here. 0.5 of a second, the difference between these two, Delisle and Stewart, as they come down into turn 4. And Damon
putting a bit of pressure on here.
Woods last time by 1:20.8. He is on the charge, trying to close down the gap, but he's got a fair margin to try and make up because he's got 17 seconds to close.
That's quick though, 20.8.
Going very quick there for Damon Woods, but it's going to be simply just a hot lapping session for him towards this end of the race, or he'd be desperately hoping that these guys get stuck into an almighty battle that slows each other down. And Josh,
you never know, somebody here might make a move, put a wheel on each other. You know, that's why he's got to keep it going, keep right on it, hard up it, and see if he can, score some luck. That's what he'd be shooting for.
Absolutely, that's all it takes sometimes. You just need to be that little bit lucky here, as Stewart closing right up to 0.3 of a second off the back of Delisle at the end of the main straight. Then here's the wait for eternity.
He should be coming through just about now. There he is.
Damon Woods back there in third as he makes his way down the main straightaway. That's the visualization of a 17-second gap between second and third. Then the battle behind Yusuf. Actually, just getting passed there by Caleb Balak, I think, it was actually Yusuf going around a lap car. I think in possibly Marcus Kanitska going a lap down. It is Marcus Kanitska in the Pace Syndicate entry as they head down towards turn 4.
Just not seeing where Josh can make a move on Tim here. It's one thing to catch somebody and put some pressure on, but to actually make a pass in these cars is not easy. and whatever push to pass Josh has got, I'm sure that Tim has got the same. And pretty hard to pull that off. You're really going to have to hope for a mistake.
Yeah, it looks like Tim Delisle has put together a beautiful race combination for himself for tonight's round as he holds on to the pace and the margin of 1 second back to Stewart as they come down the line. 2 minutes remain. They'll probably slot in 2 more laps of the Interlagos circuit here for round 9 of this championship.
So this will help Tim close up on the lead of the series, Damon in the lead of the series. Just help him close up a little bit, but not a lot. They're between first and third. It's not a huge amount of points, so he really needed Damon to DNF tonight, which tried hard hitting the end of the pit lane, but
he's tried very hard.
Lucky he didn't actually lose the engine out of that accident, because sometimes when you have a big accident, you lose the engine and then you're dead.
Well, the old damage model on this car probably helped him out quite a bit there, because if it was the new damage model on the vehicle, I could almost guarantee you he wouldn't be finishing the race. So Damon Woods getting a little bit lucky with the era of vehicle we're racing tonight, as Tim Delisle still leads by 1 second as they come down towards turn 11 now, before they start the final lap in just a second. Stewart is going to pick up enough points in the bag to move to third in the championship over the top of Greg Olsen. There's only 7 points separating those two as they came into tonight's race. So Stewart on his way to potentially a podium in the championship. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go here from Interlagos. And Delisle dropping in a 1:20.7 that time by. Wow. He's rocking. The best defense is a good offense.
And Stewart's done a 20.7 as well.
Yeah.
Low fuel. See, low fuel.
Really working with it here is Woods there, 20.6. Hot lapping at the end. So
Damon, fun out there.
He's trying to get the last laugh in here, back there in third, some 17 seconds off the lead. Here it is, and that's Delisle with the wing closed, using those last push to passes.
That's where the time's coming from.
Maximising what he has down the long straights here at Interlagos. And so for the final time, through turn 11, Tim Delisle. 1 more hard braking zone separating him and the checkered flag tonight. Executes nicely out of turn 12. Then it's a home run through these last couple of flat corners where Barney, the iRacing flagman, will be holding the checkered flag, waiting for him, and a charge to the finish. A beautiful drive tonight from Tim Delisle to claim the win here at round 9 of the Racecraft Simulations S5000 E-Series. Josh Stewart across the line in second. Did everything he could do to try and grab that spot, but holds on to P2 for tonight. And Damon Woods, your championship leader, comes across the line in third here in the feature race. And a 120.3.
Just to prove a point. But Damon, that was a very non-Damon-like race tonight. I've never seen him make that many mistakes, and certainly not in one race. Very, very unlike him. But at the same time, Tim Delisle, perfect drive, absolutely rock solid. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful defence. Never had to really defend because he always had the pace. Kept that little gap and just drove a perfect, 2 perfect races from start to finish. So that's nice to see for a change.
Yeah, it's an interesting night of racing here. As Andre Yusuf across the line P4, Bailey Evans across the line in P5. Steve Jansen got home ahead of Shane Russell, P6 and 7. Anthony Marzoka across the line in P8. From Will Ryan, who crossed in the 9. Robbie Griffiths getting there for the Fishy Motorsports entry in P10. Drew Collins had a bit of a rough affair, but it comes across the line in P11. And Marcus Konitska and then Caleb Balak.
I think Mabry ran out of incident points and got DQ'd. I think that may be the case.
Yeah, looks like he finished up about 7 laps short of the finish. There's your final results here. Tim Delisle confirming as your winner. over Joshua Stewart and Damon Woods, second and third. A relatively processional affair out front, but good racing. Driving these S5000s or Formula Renault 3.5s in iRacing tonight here from Interlagos for the Racecraft S5000 E-Series. And your podium, Delisle, Stewart and Woods.
Actually, I see that I think Caleb Black won the incident race with 22 points. So well done, Caleb.
He got there. He got there.
And that's that is no disgrace in these things. It's very easy to get an incident point driving these.
Yeah, so
really impressive with Steve Jansen. He's done the whole race with one incident.
Here's the highlight of the race right here. Damon Woods, who is in the hunt on Josh Stewart, trying to push the envelope and maybe just pushed it a little bit too far, and Stewart pushed back as they tagged wheels heading for that move, and Stewart almost found himself in the barrier too, but it was Damon Woods who just slammed into the end of the pit wall barrier.
Actually, if Luke can, I'd love to do an onboard with Damon at full speed and just see just how quick that car stopped. Here we go. The full noise down the inside, trying to get down the inside, making a move down the inside, a little touch, and oh, God, that hurt.
Yeah, painful to watch in that one. We'll get the extra angle of it from up top this time. You can see Damon just tries to draw alongside, tries to fit between he and the wall, and then goes, oh, there's a wall there. And Blamo finds the fence.
Yeah, he really hadn't earned the right to that little bit of road. He was trying hard because he couldn't get down the outside. He's trying down the inside, but oh well.
It is like that. We're going to ask him about it when we get to him in just a second, but we'll start with your winner for the night. Tim Delisle, congratulations. A great drive tonight, mate.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always nice to pick up a win, but yeah, not ideal circumstances, I guess, with the incident with Damon. I was really looking forward to duking it out with him. I mean, I wasn't, but, you know, I was happy to take the win, but yeah, it would have been fun to fight, so...
The good part is you're honest about it, at least.
Yeah, like, I saw it all happen in the mirrors. I had no idea what happened, but I guess you can hear from Josh and Damon shortly, but yeah, it was a bit of a sigh of relief.
From your side of the equation, at least, it looked like a rather clinical execution of the night of racing, just clicking off lap after lap, managing tyres and fuel where you needed to, and then going for hot laps right at the end.
Kind of. First part of the race was okay. I made a mistake on lap 2 that compromised Josh and I a bit, and then another big one later on that let Damon back into the tow, and yeah, I've got to say thanks to Josh, because our goal there was just to sort of look ahead, not compromise each other, and that's what I did there, and he had to back off because of it. But otherwise, apart from those two things, it was a nice race. I was fairly happy with how I drove.
Congratulations nonetheless, mate. We'll come back around. We'll go to second place tonight, Josh Stewart. A couple of glimpses there, a couple of moments where it could have gone either way, and obviously the big moment that was with Damon, but on the runner-up spot tonight.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, there was. First of all, thanks for having me here, and I'm happy to be on this step. With that little collision, I wasn't. As soon as it happened, I thought, oh god, I am going to be in the wall as well, because when he touched my rear wheel, it kind of flung me into him more, and then back out. But I just literally watched it back then, and I don't think that's my fault. I had the inside covered. I was surprised that he was going down that and not the outside, because I was pretty tight anyway on that. And that pit lane entry kind of curves around and balloons out quite a bit. So yeah, it was a lucky one. Unfortunate for Damon though. I'd sort of actually at that point in time, I'd kind of given up a little bit, thinking that he was going to get past that lap. But because I made a few little mistakes on the exit of Junsao, and he had a really good run, but yeah, that was really unfortunate. I'm glad he was able to make it back to P3 anyway.
Solid result nonetheless, mate. Yeah, plenty of pace underneath you tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Tim gave me a good tow for most of the race. I didn't feel like I had the pace to get past him when he made that mistake and then pull away. So I felt my better strategy was to tuck him behind, and maybe he would make a mistake later in the race, save up my DRS and try and have a go. Then
hang on, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, well, I was going to keep you in the dark a little bit, but I think if we had started fighting, Damon would have been right up on us and past us pretty quick. So, doing the old signs treatment and giving me a tow.
Solid effort. We'll go to third place then, Damon Woods, and the burning question: what was going on?
Me being brain dead. That was such a terrible move on my behalf. So unfortunate, but I misjudged how much room I actually had, and then by the time I pulled out, it was too late to try and back out of it. Otherwise, I would have probably crashed with Josh down the straight further. But it is what it is. I still got the championship lead. I'm not too worried. I'm glad that I got the buffer from Magny-Cours, and it's 76 points from what I worked out now. So if I just cover Tim off in qualifying and then in the sprint race, I think it should be signed sealed. But it's racing. I was lucky that it's the virtual world. Otherwise, I would be in a coma. But
I think you'd be on another planet. But that must, when you have an incident like that, it comes to a stop so quickly, it gives you a hell of a fright.
Yeah, I saw the pit wall and went, this isn't good. And then just hoped that I wouldn't end up with a completely deleted car. But I was thankful enough that it still had a motor. I could drive back to the pit lane and get the fast repair. But yeah, it was, not an ideal situation. We'll call it that.
Yeah, I think Tim was pretty rock solid tonight. He really didn't make didn't put a foot out of place pretty much. Had two tiny little incidents where he just got a bit squirrely or whatever. But apart from that, he was rock solid. So you really had a battle on your hands, even if you did manage to get up there tonight.
Yeah, well, I made my night difficult from the start by forgetting to put first gear in on the sprint race start. So
I win the bet, Chris.
Yeah.
I didn't bet against you.
It was an uphill battle from then. So yeah, it was always going to be hard, especially with Josh as well. He's in tow. It's going to be difficult to try and get past the car, especially I think was on lower wing. So it is what it is. But
there's nothing worse than forgetting to put it in first gear because you feel like such an idiot.
Yeah, I dumped the clutch and I was like, oh, it's not moving. So I looked on the screen and it's still in neutral. And I'm like, God. So
Tell you what,
but
it could have been way worse. I think I was a millimeter off his rear wheel on that start too.
Yeah, very, very close.
Yeah. So
Luke just giving us the replay on that one. You were mighty close on that start.
iRacing gods were with us on that one.
Well, we'll turn it around then. Damon, who do you have to thank for getting to third tonight?
As always, got to thank the boys at eSports, VRS, Recaro Seats, Tailored Rig, Arima Sportswear, and SX Group for all their support. And as always, the FRG guys for putting on a splendid event.
Well, congratulations on getting back to there after a bit of a wild night at the races, and best of luck for the next round.
Thank you very much.
Then to second place, Josh Stewart. Who do you have to thank
thanks. Thanks to Countforce Racing. Congrats to Rusty on a good result as well. He just jumped in the car the last minute and pumped in some good laps, and so well done to him. Big thanks to Tim. We had a bit of a worked on setup the last couple of weeks as well, and he really pushes me to be faster. I don't think I'd be this quick without his help, so thanks to him. And yeah, thanks to you boys as well. Love watching the broadcast after this with a few beers, so thanks, boys.
Yeah, that's what I'll be doing in about 10 minutes' time. And then to our winner, Tim Delisle. Who do you have to thank, mate?
My PSR teammate Greg. He's here in spirit, but over in Japan enjoying himself. Josh and the rest of the DFR guys. Josh, really helped with the setup this time. I was going in one direction, and he took it in another one, and it was like a free 2/10. So that was great, and just for being patient with my mistakes during the race as well. And Damon, commiserations, and would have been fun to battle. But as always, next time, and you guys for the coverage. Thanks a lot.
Great stuff. Well, congratulations to all three of you for nabbing the top 3 spots here in the feature race, and we'll see you guys in a few weeks for the final round of the Racecraft Simulations S5000 E-Series.
And that's at Phillip Island.